Good evening, everyone. It's Paul Kegabine with the Garland County Library, and I would like to introduce Marsalis Weatherspoon, who is the current president of the local NAACP branch, Hot Springs branch, number 6013. And this is episode 5 of the ongoing Perceptions of Color series. If you've missed any past episodes, you can watch all of those on the library's Facebook and YouTube channels, in our video archives. There's been some great programs. Marsalis has done a great job in seeing those and having some great conversations with some very interesting, intelligent guests. Tonight's program is called Keane in Context, and it's going to take a closer look at the scope and depth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who we all know. Of course, yesterday was MLK Day. Today's the day after, but if you're big enough to have your own day, I don't think it has to be on the day of the holiday. So Marsalis is going to have a special guest, Mr. Diablo Coleman, who he'll be introducing here in a moment. So now that I have your introduction out of the way, Marsalis, I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. And again, welcome to Perceptions of Color. This is episode 5. This is January 2022. So we want to say Happy New Year. It's been a new year since we've seen everybody, but we're glad to be back. And again, we'll look forward to many Perceptions of Colors to come. But this is the start of 2022. So we're very excited. And I'm very excited about my guest today. My guest is Mr. Diablo Coleman. He's the chairman of the Martin Luther King Hot Springs Committee, and he's a native of Hot Springs, Arkansas. He's coordinated the Martin Luther King Parade and program for the past 15 years, and he has formerly worked with the Boys and Girls Club for over 30 years. His father, Bearbra Coleman, was instrumental in spearheading several community events, including the Back to School Bash and the Juneteenth celebration. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Diablo Coleman. Mr. Coleman, welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you, and we're so excited. And like Mr. Kegabon said, yesterday was the national federal holiday for Dr. King. But for me, it started way back all the way on Saturday, which Saturday was the 15th, which was actually Dr. King's birthday. He would have been 93 years old. So as you and I know, remembering his legacy is not just that one day, right? It's all throughout the year. And you've been working on this parade and program for just about how long?
Over 15 years.
Wow. So how did you get started working with the program?
Well, it was kind of got passed down from another gentleman who got tired and got tired of it and tired of the headache. So he passed it on to me, and I took the ball and run with it,
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I remember the parade as a kid and being on the sideline and watching the floats and all of the fancy cars and what all is entailed in that parade. What would you likely to see if you go to the Martin Luther King parade?
Well, I would like to see more participation.
Right.
From the city of Hot Springs.
Sure.
All walks of color. I deal with all walks of color, kids, black, white, green, whatever it is. I like to see everybody pay a little, kind of like the Christmas parade. I would like to see it get that big one day.
Well, with you at the helm and with, like you said, the community support, I'm sure it would get that big. I remember, like I said, the fancy cars is a big deal to me.
Yeah.
I'm a car fanatic. I also remember the bikes and what are some other things that you would see typically in the MLK parade?
Well, number one, I would like the ministers to walk. If we could gather all the ministers and walk, that would really set the tone for this Martin Luther King parade, I think, in my eyes.
Awesome. Well, I was there yesterday. We had some representatives from the Hot Springs School District. I remember Miss Trojan was there. I saw the Prince Hall affiliated Masons were there,
Yeah.
and it was profiled yesterday actually this morning in the Hot Springs Sentinel Record. And so who else was there? The Mighty Marching Trojan Band, and even I marched in the parade a couple years ago. Who were some people that we usually see during the parade or even the program?
Well, I think the pandemic kind of played a part on that. Usually, I have about at least about 10 churches involved
Sure.
with their organizations and stuff. But and even Head Start this year, Head Start they're trying to get involved. I'm trying to get the little kids start from the preschool all the way up to the high school to get them involved and stuff. And I think at the pandemic, you would have seen more because it's probably about 100 people calling council this time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We had that's another group I look forward to is the Lakeside Jazz Band. I know they come and play every year, and they always do a phenomenal job. So again, we thank you for your leadership with the parade and for carrying it for so long. But getting back to Dr. King's life, he was, as you stated before, he died in 1968. Right. And you were saying that you were a little kid at that time, but you remember being taught about him and things of that nature. So what do you remember about Dr. King's life growing up?
Well, all the obstacles, all the he tried to go all over the country and trying to help
Right.
people, not only just color, people just in general. And we was taught, and then if people would take their everyday life and apply some of the stuff that he was was talking about, I think this world would be better right now.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So what were some of the things that he was advocating for back then?
Well, he wanted you. Well, I'm gonna go back to Rosa. He wanted you to be able to do as any other man. If you got on the bus, he wanted you to be able to sit at the front. If you went to a restaurant, he wanted you to be able to sit at that counter.
Sure.
Even the jobs, he wanted you equal rights for everybody. And
Right.
them are some of the main things.
Well, you kind of segue me to my next question. You kind of answered my question before I asked it, which is good because we know that he was kind of called a troublemaker or an agitator, in his day and time. And yeah, like you said, one of those things was the Montgomery Bus Boycott.
Yes.
And can we talk about the importance of the Montgomery Bus Boycott and from an economic standpoint, the effect that it had? So why was that so important to the movement?
Well, one of the things, when everybody stopped riding that bus, the money stopped flowing. And so they hurry up. They didn't let that go longer because when the money stopped flowing, guess what? That's what happened with that. So that was a good thing too.
Yes.
With that situation and stuff.
Right. And so I kind of wanted to bring that out because sometimes we kind of look at King as this, like, yes, he advocated for nonviolence, but sometimes we kind of have a revisionist history where everything was so great and they marched and it was peaceful and all that, but there was a real impact. There was a physical impact. People were bludgeoned and sprayed and had dogs sicked on them, and he himself was in prison and was beat and things of that nature and had death threats. But also, those people that were involved with that boycott, there wasn't a picnic, right? They had to walk for a long.
Man, they had to walk. They walked. They had people had cars. They carpooled. They done everything necessary just to keep to show them that they needed them too. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that really helped. That helped out a whole bunch, you know. And I could tell you something that I was part of that movement too, because I remember the time when I couldn't go in the Boys and Girls Club
Wow.
right here in Hot Springs.
Well, that's a good question. So, what were some of the discrimination or some other things that you saw here locally in Hot Springs, in addition to the Boys Club?
Not only the Boys Club, the Hot Springs swimming pool. I couldn't go in the swimming pool once upon a time. That's when we swam at the Web Center. So everybody had the challenges and stuff in their own city and stuff too. It was going on here too, you know. So I guess that's why God placed me at that Boys and Girls Club so I can tell the story one day. And it happened. It came fruition, you know. But I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Things are better, but they still got a long way to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. And we talked about, you know, kind of the difficulties as it relates to taking a stance, right? You talked about Martin Luther King doing the right thing and how, you know, it takes courage sometimes to take a stand for what's right. And he wasn't very popular in his time for that sense. You know, now we kind of see him as a hero. But you know, in his day, he wasn't really regarded as such. He was more regarded as a persona non grata or somebody that was unpopular. And so, what were some of the things he stood for that kind of made him unpopular?
Well, let's go to voting. That was one of the things. The real issue. This about everything. Jobs. What else we can say? This be able to go in any place that anybody else should be able to do. You know, I even had people tell me they had to get on the other side of the street. You know what I'm saying? Or you get your head, you know, whatever. So it just the things he was doing, people didn't like it. And then you had people in this organization that was against him and was jealous of him. You know, it's people jealous because Marsalis is the president of the NAACP. So it's still going on. Even back then, it's still going on right today. You'd
So
be
you
surprised.
So you're saying, in addition to the external challenges he faced from outside his race, he faced challenges from inside his race.
Inside too.
That is very interesting.
Yes.
Awesome. You know, you and I, we talked about kind of his unpopularity also because of his stance for his opposition to the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And I really don't know much about the Vietnam War and, you know, what transpired for him to take opposition to it. Was it more that the young men were going over there and losing their life?
Correct. Even Muhammad Ali didn't want to go to the war and stuff, you know. I got several people that fought in the Vietnam War, and it was a rough situation. That's when lots of guys went to prison and went to jail because they didn't want to sign up and go over there, you know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We had you talked about voting rights. You talked about you know, just simple things like going into restaurants and those discrimination. And what that made me think about is, you know, it's kind of like we're having a deja vu moment, you know,
Yes.
today.
Well, and I tell you what, I'll go back to what my father told me. He got out the military in '55, and he rode the bus, and they stopped in Magnolia, Arkansas, and it was snowing, so the bus couldn't move. He said they locked up everything, and he had to stay outside in that weather till the next morning. So he was in that movie. You understand what I'm saying? he done went and been a soldier. He's been a serviceman, and then you come back and try to get home, and you had to sleep outside. He said he found a corner and slept outside all night. You know, he said he never want to go to Magnolia, Arkansas again, but that happened in '55. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which that is the same year as the Brown versus Board ruling.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're saying segregation and discrimination were the law of the land at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and discrimination carried out until the Civil Rights Act. So, and yes, they made some of these things illegal, but as I was saying, we're still trying to fight for voting rights today, trying to get this Voting Rights Act, John Lewis Act, passed. So, we're seeing some things reappear that, what do you think Dr. King would say about, what he's, what we're seeing today as far as the political landscape?
Go vote. Go vote. That's the number one thing. If you don't vote, you ain't got no voice. And that's what's been happening now. People talk good, but when it comes to actually doing the right thing, until you vote, and then you got a voice. But if you don't want Jeff in there, if you don't vote, if Jeff get on there, so what? So what now? Just like the candidates last night. What was that guy named Chris? Was it
Chris Jones?
Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get some people behind Chris Jones. You know what I'm saying? If he's the right candidate or whatever, if I was running for office, you got to, like I say, if you don't vote, you can't say nothing. And that's the bottom line.
And I must put this disclaimer out there: NAACP does not endorse one party or one candidate. We are nonpartisan. And
Right.
so these are Brother Coleman's words. Just putting that out there. But definitely we must vote, because a voteless people is a hopeless people. That's saying from my fraternity, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which Martin Luther King was a member of that fraternity.
Right.
So we've been advocating for voting rights for decades. And so you're 100% correct when it comes to that voting piece. And you mentioned your father, and again, you're just giving me all my segues. He was active in the community, and he was very involved. Just tell us a little bit about Biabra Coleman.
Well, first of all, he was Navy man, born in Baxter, Arkansas, Durham, outside Durham, Arkansas. He was also a chef. He was a mechanic director, but he never even worked on a car. That's just one of those things. But he just took off, he was one of them guys that just said, this one day after we all got grown and stuff, he said, I'm going to help these children. And that's what he did. Even he sat on his porch every day when the kids got out of school. If they were fighting, he made them stop fighting. And every day he talked to them. He gave them stuff. He gave them ice cream. He gave them sodas. He gave them candy. Anything to make them feel like somebody really cared something about them. And that's the whole thing. If everybody would just let their heart and start caring about people, I think everything would be better. But everybody ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? And he was just one of them men just gave it all. I'm telling you, when I say he gave it all, he didn't have nothing when he left here, but that's okay. He was happy, So and he used to say, I ain't going down there with them people because they don't know how to act. He didn't like you act no fool neither. He was a no nonsense guy. If I'm giving my all, he wanted everybody else to give their all. Stuff.
Right. And what you're talking about is kind of someone acting in loco parentis, being a male role model, being a father figure in the community. And I know I personally look up to Dr. King in that regard. my father's in my life, but just having an extra father's, it takes a village, to raise a child. And like you said, Chris Jones talked about the impact that Dr. King's life and legacy had on his life and wanting to go into politics and things of that nature. So it sounds like your father's impact and Dr. King's impact have been indelible and a part of making who you are today, sounds like.
Yeah, oh yes. Man, at that Boys and Girls Club, I was a counselor, I was a parent, and I was an authority figure. I made you behave. I made you do, and you know what? When you do the right thing, man, them kids will come back when you. I hear so many. I got so many stories. It's just unreal. I could be anywhere. Hey, that man right there, he made us big. We thought he was mean, but he wasn't mean. I was just a person that I'm gonna show you love, but also when it comes to making you behave and do the right thing, that's what you know. Because we got our behinds when we got our line.
Right, right. Well, again, yeah, you're following for sure in your father's footstep in that regard, being that male role model, and also taking on the back to school bash and the Juneteenth celebrations here in the city. So talk about some of these activities that, you work on throughout the year.
I tell you what, I'm getting ready to do, and I didn't want to take on more responsibility, but we got Black History Month coming up in February. So we decided we're going to do something with Black History Month, and we're going to try to get everybody involved. I'm trying to get the community involved. If they just listen to me, I like everybody, even when you don't like me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I want to get everybody involved that I can. Once upon a time, the school districts used to come through the Boys and Girls Club. So I got a chance to deal with everybody's children, as far as they go.
Sure.
But throughout the year, we're going to start trying to do something, not this Juneteenth day, not this back to school day or back to school resource. That's what we do now. And Martin Luther King Day. We're trying to get enough people where we can do something all through the whole year. And
Sure.
maybe we can get some people on board. And I'm going to try to, with Hot Springs School District, I know I can work with Lakeside as far as that go. And I'm going to try to get these other school districts, see if we can get the kids involved and everything. So that's my goal for this year.
Awesome.
This year.
Well, sounds definitely something to look forward to. And again, given your track record with kids and the impact that Dr. King had on your life, and you talked about the things that even you saw your father go through, what would you say is something to leave with the youth today? Like, what is something that they should take from the life of Dr. King and apply to their life?
First of all, go to church. I'm gonna say that, and get an education or get some kind of vocational training, or go in the military. You got to. It's more than this hanging out, and you'll see that when you become adult, when you have to pay bills and get out and do the right thing. So I'm challenging parents to get involved with their kids. The schools gonna help you, but you got to be able to get involved. And I'm gonna say this: adults that have children that's not fooling with their children, it's not the school's problem, it's your problem. I want you to get involved and help. I know we got lots of single parents trying to do this and do that, and these dads and mom, I ain't gonna just say dads. These dads and moms that have multiple children, you got to get involved. And that's the biggest thing I'm saying. We're not engaging with our children. We're not doing anything with our children. Our children just at home. One thing that we did at the Boys Club, if Marsalis called and said, "Hey, I don't get off till 7 o'clock tonight," you know what we would do? Ma'am, when you get off work, you come get your child. Even though we close at 6, we stay there and watch your child till you get off all that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got so many kids are at home by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
raising themselves, and that's why we having so many problems. So many kids getting in trouble because they unattended, and you can't leave your house unattended, and that's what really that's what's happening. Not only in Hot Springs, everywhere else, you know. But that's one thing I just wish they would get in with their children and make sure they're doing something, you know,
Sure.
and hold them accountable more than flipping that game thing. You know what I'm talking about. But that's one thing that I wish could happen. And I'm gonna keep praying and maybe God will turn that thing away. Turn it around, brother.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, again, Dr. King definitely um, emphasized faith and just not only being a preacher, but his walk, right? Just how
Yeah.
he lived his life, a life of service and a life of devotion to God, definitely. And also, like you said, education. He was a scholar,
That's it.
doctor, all of those things. And so we, like you said, we want the same for our children, for sure.
Right.
And train up a child in the way he should go. And when he's older, he won't depart. And that's just me as a preacher
Right.
saying those things.
Right.
But I can attest that, having clear focus on faith and education, has served me well. So our children would do well to follow in Dr. King's footstep in those regards. So again, thank you for shining the light on that, and thank you for your take on the life of Dr. King. Anything else you want to share about Dr. King's life or his impact on your work?
Well, I think if everybody would share some of what Dr. King is still talking about today and apply it to their life, I think we would be better. You know, do the same, do some of the things that he and the other, not only Dr. King, it's a multiple people that went through a whole bunch of stuff back there.
Mhm.
And I think if we apply some of that stuff that he talked about to our life, I think everybody would be better, you know.
Right.
And just be the number one thing is everybody just be nice to everybody. If we could just get back to that, even back then, people were going through, but they wasn't like they is today. You know what I'm saying? People being nice, lift a hand. I don't care where you at, what church you go, whatever, you know, if you see somebody, just be nice. That's all you gotta be is be nice. That's my thing.
That would be half the battle for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like what I've heard you say just has been the continuous drumbeat is to remember his legacy and remember what he stood for throughout the year. It's not just during Martin
No.
Luther King Day. It's not just during Black History Month or Juneteenth, our days that we have on the set on the calendar, but if we could make a practice of looking at his life and looking at his words and what he stood for throughout the year, I think that would help us as a people, and not just the Black race, but just like you said, as a human race. I think we're better for it, for sure.
Because now, if we want to look at that, everybody is mixed up now. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said it's a human race. I got 8 mixed grandchildren, so it's all mixed up now. So we just have to get off of this and that, and and this it's called do the right thing. If we just everybody learn how to do the right thing, we will be a better country. That's just all it is,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to give it over to Paul and see if he has anything for us. And you mind sticking around for some question and answer?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Well, thank both of you. And Mr. Coleman, you don't look old enough to be a grandfather, let alone that many times. But all right. So if it's okay with the two of you, I found some trivia online. So I want to quiz the two of you.
All right, here we go.
All right. And if you
No
have
promises.
Well, if you have anything you'd like to add to any of these questions,
Sure.
feel free to. All right, so we've got a scoreboard right here. So we're going to start with our guest, and you're both guests, but let me uncover your face there, Marsalis.
Okay.
You're both guests, but Mr. Coleman, you're more of a guest since this is your first time here. So I'm going to give you the first question, and you viewers, if you want to follow along and try to answer, feel free to. So, what famous boycott did MLK Jr. help orchestrate?
Alabama.
Was in Alabama. Can you be more specific?
Ooh, and I just
If you don't have a name for it, Marsalis can steal it.
go on, steal it. Oh,
Montgomery.
my view got that right.
Yep. Montgomery Bus Boycott. Do you have any facts you know about that you'd like to share?
Again, we started in what
1955 is when that.
1955. I didn't want to be wrong.
Mhm.
But again, that was also the year for Brown v. Board. Rosa Parks wouldn't sit down. I mean, she wouldn't get up from her seat. And a lot of people don't know that, Rosa Parks was not the first woman not to give up her seat. There was also another African-American lady named Claudette Colvin, who refused to get up. But they said that she was an unwed mother, and that wasn't a good look to be the face of the movement. So they went with Rosa Parks, who was an educator and a wife and these other things.
Also,
Colvin.
she was dark skinned. That played a part too. They were more listen to the light skinned folks, I guess, back then. But that was one of the deals too, with that whole situation.
Right.
Yes.
All right, Marsalis.
She's still alive. She's still with us. Go ahead.
What city did King deliver his famous "I Have a Dream" speech?
Of course, Washington, D.C.
That's right.
At the Lincoln Memorial.
This one is very specific. I'm looking for a number, so and you may know it, but I'll give you both a chance, and whoever's closer will get it right. How many times was Dr. Keane imprisoned? Marsalis, you answer first.
Ooh, boy, you working on us this evening, ain't it?
Is it in the double digits?
It is in the double digits.
Oh, I should know this.
Whoever's closer will get the point.
Go ahead, shoot something out, Diablo, because
How many times you went to jail?
Yep. How many times?
That's a good question.
Any guess?
That's a good question, because I don't have a clue.
I'll say 50.
Marsalis?
I was going to say 37. That was just a random number.
All right, you're a little bit closer. It was 29.
29.
That's still a lot.
Look at him. He whooping me this evening.
All right, Diablo. What civil rights organization did Dr. King found along with Ralph Abernathy, Fred Shuttlesworth, and Joseph Lowry? What civil rights organization did he found?
What is the name? See, I should have been in my book today. Y'all put me on the spot.
Well, there's nothing on the line for the trivia. It's just bragging rights.
Okay.
So you're not losing out on anything.
Okay.
Do you have an answer, Marsalis?
I'm thinking about two, and I don't want to be wrong. So there was two. There was the SLCC.
It's something I can't think of.
Yeah, that's the one on this trivia, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC.
And then there's I was thinking about CORE, the Congress on Racial Equality, but yeah, that's what it is, SCLC.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How old was King when he won the Nobel Peace Prize? Whoever's closer gets it. This is also double digits.
Mm.
So you know he didn't win it as a child.
Right.
No, he didn't win as a child.
Jesus help. Okay. I'm gonna say
Oh, we have Cheryl Batts in the audience. She's dead on.
I'm gonna say 36 because he didn't make it to 40 years old because he died. I remember him saying, I won't make it to 40," and then he died in 1968. So did he get that Nobel Prize in 64?
He was 20.
Answers 35.
35.
At the time, he was the youngest person ever to win the award.
No,
I was a year off.
Let's see here.
These are good questions.
Sure will.
What is the title of the 30-foot granite sculpture of Dr. King at the memorial in Washington, D.C.?
Now this is rude because I just saw this and it has escaped my mind.
Ooh. And you know what's so killing about it? I had some friends that went up there to the monument and they told me the name. I got too much going on in this brain.
Okay, enlighten us.
All right. Well, I'll give you a hint. It's Stone of blank. What's the word? Stone of what?
Hope.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stone of Hope.
Stone of Hope.
All right. What? How was Dr. King recognized in 1963? And there's probably multiple answers to this, but there's one in particular in this trivia. 1963. He received recognition from a major mainstream something.
We already talked about the Nobel Prize, so it's
not that.
Yeah. Okay. So, did he get a? No.
You're gonna have to. I'm about to go back to read a little bit more.
Did he get a Congressional Medal of Freedom?
Yeah.
No, it's the Time Magazine Man of the Year.
Man of the Year. Okay.
Let's see here. This one. Where was Dr. Keane assassinated?
Memphis.
That's right. Have you been to that museum, the Lorraine Motel?
I have.
I have too.
Any things stand out to you from the museum? Any memories there?
Well, where he got shot at, that was interesting.
Yeah, right there. They have the motel just as it appeared back in '68.
It's kind of surreal, taking it in and being exactly where he was, when all of that transpired. But I went with a church group, and we went. There's another museum across the street, and we went to that museum, and we just made a weekend out of it.
Right.
And I'm fat, so my biggest recollection of that weekend is we went to Graceland.
Yes.
Ate at the soul food restaurant, and found a soul food restaurant that had Chinese food as well. So that was interesting. So when you go to Memphis, you got to go get soul food. You got to go down on 3rd Street and go to some of those markets. But yeah, definitely the Lorraine Motel. Everybody should see that. Put that on their bucket list for sure.
I took my children, I took my family up there to see weekend in vacation in Memphis.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do a handful more here. Marsalis, what college did Dr. Keane attend?
For his undergrad or his graduate, because he attended for his undergrad. He attended Morehouse University, and for his graduate school, he went to Boston University, and then he also completed a doctorate. So,
Got it all right. Because Marcellus is the professor anyway.
Only reason I know the Boston part, because like I said, he pledged the Sigma chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Right.
So that's the only reason I remember that one. So it's not fair.
Yeah.
Well, Diablo, what church did Keane serve as pastor? Marsalis probably knows this one too. He's ready to steal.
Yeah. Oh, what is the name of that church?
And shout out to Cheryl Batts. She's getting them all right there in the comments too.
Yeah, Cheryl Bassett. She's a hey, we give her homage too. Ooh, what is the name? I can't. Go ahead, Marcellus. Get it right.
Okay, he pastored the Dexter Avenue.
That's it. That's it.
If I'm not mistaken.
Let's see if we can put Diablo on the board a little more. at least you have at least 1 point.
The only reason I know this is because I've been showing my kids Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, but see, we read about that now. We don't forget when you get older and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
All right. How we'll go with whoever's closer. But Marsalis probably knows the exact answer. How long is the "I Have a Dream" speech?
No, I do not know that.
I said 30 minutes.
I don't know why. I'm gonna say 7 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard it in its entirety, but it's been a while.
It's long, brother.
I had to do the math in my head. Marsalis, you're closer, but not by much. It's 17 minutes.
17 minutes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. What is the name of Keane's wife?
Coretta.
That's right.
Also a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Let's see here. All right, just a couple more here. What name was Keane born with?
Uh-oh. See, I don't forget about all that, man. Been a long time answering all them questions.
And about the "I Have a Dream" speech, Miss Bat says it did not seem like 17 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't Martin. It's something else, and I forgot about it.
He changed his own name as well as that of his 5-year-old son from Blank to Martin Luther. Any guesses?
His birth name was Michael.
That's
right. That's right.
Luther Jr. And they were his father was so influenced by the work of Martin Luther, the Protestant minister.
Yeah, Michael.
They were impacted to change the name.
What about the original Martin Luther do you think was so inspiring?
Well, he was an evangelist, and he was a kind of a rabble rouser. He was kind of an agitator in his day, for sure. So I'm sure they were inspired by his, life and legacy to take on that name. And he was, a father in the gospel, father of the church, the Protestant church. So I'm sure.
And he lived up to that legacy.
Right.
Yes, he did.
All right, one more question here. Let's see. Okay, what year was Keane awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Whoever's closer. And then Rachel in the audience says Keane, he was a reformer. Excuse me, reformer.
Yes. Absolutely.
We lost.
What year was Keane awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
He died in. Let's go back. That's interesting.
All right, it was 1977, so after his assassination.
Posthumous.
Yep, posthumous by President Carter.
Okay.
Way to embarrass me, Paul. Jeez. I didn't know I was going to be quizzed. Like
Yeah.
quizzing my students, and now I didn't know I was going to get a quiz, but
it was spontaneous. It was a pop quiz.
be ye also ready.
I have a couple nice comments I want to read off.
Okay.
So Miss Batts, who did well in the trivia, says about this program, it was another program that highlights the thoughts and culture of our AA community. Faith and education is highlighted in all oral histories and conversations. And thank you, Diablo, for your input.
Thank you.
And then a great comment here from Angela. She, I believe, posted this when Diablo, you were talking about the segregation from your youth at the Y and the Boys and Girls Club. Angela says, "My mother told me I didn't understand because I didn't live through that time. No, I didn't live through that time, but I always respected Keane because of his peaceful approach. To me, there was no point in the violence considering Keane wasn't promoting violence but peace."
That's great.
Absolutely. Well, this was great. The program was great too. I appreciate both of your perspectives. It was very educational and inspiring. Absolutely. So I want to give, of course, both of you an opportunity to talk about anything else going on, or just to repeat anything you'd like to. So, Marsalis,
You give him a chance.
I was telling Marsalis in the month of February, and matter of fact, I might get with Cheryl Batts for Black History Month. We're gonna try to get something together for Black History because there's nothing going on now. So we're gonna try to get something in place right here in Hot Springs if we can. That's one of the things, next goal that I'm working on.
Okay. Well, thank you again for your advocacy. Thank you for everything that you are to the Hot Springs community. You are a pillar, and we salute you. We salute your father for everything that you guys have been to the city of Hot Springs. Y'all have been servants. Y'all have been leaders, servant leaders. I just thank you, and thank you for your contribution to continuing the legacy of Dr. King. We really appreciate you, Mr. Coleman.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, looks like we're to the end of another great Perceptions of Color. This program is here to inspire, empower, and enlighten. And so we just look forward to it every month, just being here. And we want to thank Mr. Paul for always being awesome. And we want to thank the Garland County Library for opening their doors to us. And we're looking forward, speaking of Miss Batts, who's going to be with us in the month of February as we celebrate Black History Month. So it's going to be an awesome program, and we're looking forward to it. And we're also looking forward to the 25th anniversary of People Helping Others Excel by Example, or the Uzuri Project. So it's going to be a banner day. And that particular event is happening on February the 19th It's a Saturday, and so we will have more information as it relates to the February Perceptions of Color, as well as that Phoebe Azuri event. As always, the Hot Springs branch of the NAACP, Unit 6013, we meet every second Saturday at 2 p.m. Via Zoom. You can go to our website, www.naacphs6013.org for more information. We would love for you to be a part of us. We are also looking forward in the year of 2022 to celebrating our 80th birthday as a chapter. We were chartered in 1942, in November 1942 to be exact. And it's just going to be an awesome year and an awesome celebration. And the reason we know this history is because of our resident griot, Mr. Elmer Beard, who wrote about it in his book, Challengers. And so he's going to be coming up, I hear, to the library in a couple of days. Is that right, Paul?
That's right. You just gave me a segue, something I wanted to mention. Yes, that's actually going to be next week on Monday. Kimberly Liu, who is the vice chair of the SWAP Coalition to Prevent and End Homelessness, she has an ongoing series. And Monday, the 24th at 3 p.m., her guest is going to be Mr. Elmer Beard. And I know Mr. Beard from when he was a chairman with the Election Commission, but he has a very impressive resume, and he's done a lot. Marsalis, you might be able to, you probably know more about his huge impact here on Hot Springs more than I do. Well, what else has he been involved in, Mr. Beard? Everything.
Where do I begin?
I didn't plan for this, but I have a book here, which we have several copies of at the library.
Yes.
Challengers.
So yes, the book, The Challengers, we made that book in conjunction with the Hot Springs branch of the NAACP, and it profiles elected officials, people that ran for election, because even though some of those persons may not even have won, just the fact that they ran was a big deal for that date and time, especially in the climate that was going on in Hot Springs. So I got the opportunity to write a blurb. If you turn it around, my name is on the back of the book.
Okay.
Yep, right there. Let's
Yeah.
see.
So we collaborated on the book, and I had a part in that book. But he's an author. He's a poet. He is a former alderman for the city of Hot Springs. He's also former president of the Hot Springs branch of the NAACP. He's a former educator in the Hot Springs School District, as well as in the city of Little Rock. So attended Arkansas Baptist here in Arkansas, and just a man of, we're gonna have to have another whole day on Elmer Beard. Maybe I'm not gonna put that out there, but maybe so. In April, is his 85th birthday, so maybe we already have our programming for April. I don't know, but be looking forward to that. So I'm done. Paul, you got anything else?
No, that program with Mr. Beard and Miss Kimberly Liu, that's Monday, 3 p.m. And like Marsalis mentioned, the next episode of this series, Perceptions of Color, is Tuesday, February 15th in the evening, 6 p.m. The guest is Miss Cheryl Batts. And what was the topic for that?
Black history and Black love.
Excellent. Right around Valentine's Day, and of course, Black History Month. But this program is monthly, regardless, because as we know, it's not just about 1 month or 1 day for Mr. Keane. We want to be able to have voices heard, and we're happy to give you this platform at the library, Marsalis, and all of your guests. So thank you for facilitating this, and thank you, Mr. Coleman, for being a guest here.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate something. Our theme was, what are you doing for others? And I wish everybody would take that and apply it to themselves. And I think everything would be better,
Absolutely.
if you helping somebody.
Absolutely. What are you doing for others?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Absolutely. Well,
Right.
everyone take care. For the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in. And as always, this program was recorded, so you can share this. Please do, and go back and watch those previous episodes if you've missed those. This is just episode 5, and I've said a few times, when Marsalis and I first met to get this set up, he listed off like 25 different topics. So we know it's going to go on for a couple years at least. No pressure, but
Right.
all right. Any final remarks? I know we keep stalling, but we've almost hit the hour.
Yeah. Just again, like we said, keep his dream alive every day, 365. And part of that is, we can't just talk about the dream. We have to do the dream. Like Mr. Coleman said, we have to vote. We got to get involved and get engaged. And so, again, Paul, we've been talking about doing some things here at the library to make sure our community is engaged and that they have the opportunity to take part, because it takes everybody to make sure that our democracy lives and that the King dream lives on. So I think another apt King quote is that everybody can be great because everybody can serve.
That's it.
It doesn't. You don't have to have all of these doctoral degrees and things like that. If you can just help somebody along the way, and then your living will not be in vain. So thank Dr. King for setting the example and living a life of service for us to aspire to.
Absolutely.
That's it.
All right. Well, good night, you guys, and thanks again.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.